The first day of spring, a time of rebirth, hope blooms, but for some a shadow lingers. National Native HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, March 20th. A day etched in pain and resilience, a day to remember, a day to act. In the heart of the Navajo Nation, a young man named Chayton felt the weight of the world. This day was more than a change of seasons. It was a stark reminder of his own battle, HIV. 3 letters that echoed in his mind like a drumbeat of fear and uncertainty. Chayton looked at the vast expanse of the desert, the land of his ancestors, a land that held beauty and harsh truths alike. He felt a deep connection to this land, to his people. But the diagnosis threatened to sever that connection, to leave him adrift. The virus was not just a physical ailment, it was a storm in his soul. It brought whispers, it brought shame. It threatened to isolate him from the very community he yearned to be a part of. The stigma surrounding HIV in the Native community felt heavier than the sky after a monsoon. It was in the hushed tones, it was in the averted gazes. Chayton felt it most keenly within his own family. His grandmother, a pillar of strength and tradition, struggled to understand. Her silence spoke volumes. His siblings, caught between love and fear, kept their distance. Chayton felt like a stranger in his own home. He remembered the stories of his ancestors, the tales of resilience passed down through generations. They had faced hardship, discrimination, and forced assimilation. But this felt different. This felt like a betrayal of his own body, a shame he carried alone. The isolation was almost unbearable. Chayton withdrew into himself, seeking solace in the vastness of the desert. He would sit for hours, staring at the horizon, the silence both a comfort and a torment. He longed to confide in someone, to share his burden, but the fear of judgment was a wall he couldn't seem to breach. The nearest clinic specializing in HIV treatment was a 2-hour drive on a dusty, unforgiving road. Each journey was a reminder of the challenges faced by many in his community. Limited access to healthcare was a harsh reality. The long drives were physically draining and emotionally taxing. Chayton often felt like he was battling 2 enemies, the virus and the system that seemed ill-equipped to help him fight it. He thought of the elders in his community, those who were already vulnerable, and the added burden this disease placed on their lives. He thought of the financial strain, the lack of insurance, the cultural barriers that prevented many from even seeking help. The weight of it all felt crushing. Sometimes the tears would come, hot and silent, a testament to his pain, his fear, and his desperate hope for a brighter future. One day, searching for answers online, Chayton stumbled upon a blog. It was filled with stories of other Native people living with HIV. Their words resonated with his pain. Their experiences mirrored his own. He was not alone. He read about a young woman from the Lakota tribe who spoke of finding strength in traditional healing practices. He read about a two-spirit elder from the Cherokee Nation who had become an advocate for HIV awareness in their community. These stories, shared with raw honesty and courage, were a lifeline. For the first time since his diagnosis, Chayton felt a glimmer of hope. He realized that his story, his struggle, was not his alone to bear. He gathered the courage to reach out to the online community. He shared his story, his fears, his hopes. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Messages of support and encouragement poured in from across Indian country. He was embraced, not ostracized. The online community became a source of strength and solace for Chayton. But it was the support he found within his own community that truly made a difference. He learned of a local organization dedicated to providing HIV/AIDS education, prevention and support services to Native people. Hesitantly at first, he attended a meeting. He was welcomed with open arms. There he met others like him, individuals battling the virus and the stigma that came with it. They shared their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs. Chayton found a mentor in a woman named Winona, an elder who had been living with HIV for over a decade. Winona taught him about the importance of self-care, of advocating for his needs, of finding strength in his heritage. He learned about traditional healing practices, about the power of community, about the resilience of his people. He began to understand that his diagnosis did not define him. He was still Chaitan, a son, a brother, a member of his tribe. He had a voice, and he would use it to fight the stigma, to raise awareness, and to support others. The theme for National Native HIV/AIDS Awareness Day in 2025 was Walking in Tradition, Anchored in Culture. For Chaitan, these words resonated deeply. He realized that his journey with HIV was not just about physical health, but also about spiritual and cultural healing. He found strength in the traditions of his ancestors, in the ceremonies, the songs, the prayers that had sustained his people for generations. He reconnected with his culture, finding solace and strength in the wisdom of his elders. He joined the fight against HIV/AIDS in his community, volunteering at the local organization, sharing his story at awareness events, and advocating for better access to healthcare. He refused to let the virus define him or his future. He would walk the path of healing, guided by tradition, anchored in the hope of a brighter future. He knew the fight against HIV/AIDS in Native communities was far from over, but he also knew that his people were resilient. They had overcome adversity before, and they would do so again. Chaitan's story is just one thread in a larger tapestry, a tapestry woven from the experiences of countless Native people impacted by HIV/AIDS. It's a tapestry of pain, resilience, hope, and the unwavering spirit of a people determined to heal and thrive. National Native HIV/AIDS Awareness Day is a call to action. It's a reminder that the fight against HIV/AIDS is not over, especially in Native communities. It's a time to honor those we have lost, to support those living with the virus, and to work towards a future where everyone has the knowledge, resources, and support they need to live long and healthy lives. Let us stand together in solidarity and strength to end the epidemic and create a brighter future for all.